Welcome everyone to Combating the Financial Effects of COVID-19. This workshop is brought to you by the Broward Public Library Foundation and Meta Broward. To start us off, I'll go ahead and give you a little introduction into who we are and who our speaker is. So the Broward Public Library Foundation is the fundraising arm for the Broward Public Libraries system. We are committed to enhancing the services of the library system across the board, from the collections to the training of the personnel and all of the great programs and events that happen all throughout the county. So if you live in Broward County, I encourage you to check out the website and check out the library services that are being offered. We will talk a little bit about some of the online services at the end of the webinar here, but really is some great stuff. Meta Broward is actually one of our newest initiatives. It is a young professionals group that we've kicked off. And the idea behind it is to provide an experience that goes beyond the typical networking and social activities of your normal young professionals group. We really wanted to leverage all of the resources that the library is able to offer and the access to our thought leaders and authors and everyone to ensure that every program, every event we do really provides an opportunity for our members and participants to grow, whether professionally or personally or educationally, however it may be. So that being said, this seminar really goes well in line with what we're trying to do. And I am very, very excited that we could actually have our speaker today, who I will introduce to you. His name is Mr. Jeff Realejo. He is a certified financial planner, the education chair for Meta Broward, and an associate wealth manager for Heritage Investment Group. I'm super excited that he agreed to do this, and I will go ahead and pass this over to Jeff right now, and then I'll come back a little bit later.
All right, thank you, Robert. So as Robert mentioned, I am a certified financial planner. I spend my day to day basically advising clients on a wide array of personal financial planning and general finance topics. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to integrate a little bit of that and also integrate a little bit of a general economic update in terms of where we are considering the effects of the coronavirus and how you might be affected. I'm also going to go into some items that you can take on to hopefully combat the negative effects that you might be experiencing. It's hard because everyone is in a different situation. There's no one size fits all when it comes to finance and maintaining and making sure that you make the right financial decisions. But hopefully today what we'll do is we'll give you a little bit of an update or maybe kind of introduce some areas that you might consider and hopefully some ideas that you can kind of take the next step and start integrating within your individual life. And also we'll give you some resources that you can follow up on. We're also going to give you our contact information. So if there's anything that you need or any way we can help, we're happy to do that. And we're happy to basically help however we can, Robert and myself, and then also the other members of Meta Broward as well. So to just kind of give you an idea, and I do want to say, because the world is moving so fast, today is April 19th. In case you're watching this presentation, we're going to be recording it and sharing it, and the world is moving so fast, the virus is moving so fast that it's very likely 2 weeks from now we'll be in a different place than we are now. But as of today, April 19th, this is kind of what we're looking at economically. So the effort and the ongoing effort to halt the coronavirus by social distancing and shutting down major manufacturing operations and trade operations, what that's done is it's essentially put a halt to large parts of the economy. And when that happens, there are not only less people working and producing goods and services, but there are also less consumption of those goods and services because, you know, essentially we've been locked up at home and spending our time not out in the world buying various things other than maybe going to the grocery store once a week. So what that's going to do is that's going to have a huge effect on our gross domestic product. It's basically a measurement of how well the economy is operating and producing. Now, there are various factors that affect gross domestic product. You might hear of it referred to as the economic growth rate of the world. But what we're going to see is we're actually not going to see growth for the second quarter. It's something we've become accustomed to seeing here in the United States for almost a decade now. What we're going to see is we're going to see that GDP drop. And what that is, that means there's various definitions, but essentially it has the coronavirus effects has led to a recession. And that would actually, the estimates, and you know, I am very hesitant to use economic estimates because a lot of the times they are severely off what the actual data shows. But you know, in terms of what we're looking at today, we're expecting a 10 to 15% contraction for the second quarter. And you know, to keep that in perspective, that would be the biggest quarterly contraction on record. So if you're feeling the effects of coronavirus, it's important to know that there are a lot of people in this country economically that are feeling those same effects. There are a lot of people that feel the way you do. So you're not alone in this. You're not alone with you know, trying to figure out how, you know, you're going to get through this period of time. You know, it is important to figure those things out, but you are not alone. And hopefully together as a whole, we can push through it. We did it during a financial crisis in 2008 and 2009. We saw a similar, although kind of not as immediate, effect to employment and industry and GDP. And we got through those times. So these numbers don't look good. The media and the coverage in terms of business and the economy will not sound good. Don't expect it to, but it will get better. It will get better. And the reason it will get better, it's because businesses are adapting quickly to this sudden decrease in demand for goods and services. Businesses, business owners, and also the employees of those businesses, just like you're doing in your personal lives, they're finding ways to make those businesses survive through this hard period of time. And what we're hoping for is that the rebound occurs sooner rather than later. Now, that is another area where I would advise you to not be overconfident. You know, it's good to hope for the best, expect the worst. But in terms of the recovery, so there's all different types of models and all different pictures that you can forecast coming out of this. What we do know is we had a good economy coming into this. Before the coronavirus pandemic, we had a good economy, not a great economy, but we had a good economy. And we've also had the largest influx of fiscal stimulus, so government stimulus into the economy that we've ever seen, okay? It's over twice the amount of fiscal stimulus that was implemented during the financial crisis. So considering those items and how they're going to affect, you know, the next 6 months, the next year, we're likely to see the economy pick up steam and rebound, which means more jobs and opportunities. Hopefully furloughed employees will return back to work and unemployed employees will be able to seek new opportunities. But it's all about being prepared for that, okay? So it's all about what can you do today and then what can you do for the future. So let's get into that now. So generally speaking, you might be affected in many different ways. Everyone is affected in a different way. But you might be laid off, or you might be furloughed, which means you're laid off for a temporary period of time. If you're a business owner, you might have a significant decrease in revenue and profits. You might be forced to take out loans to meet expenses, or depending on some of the government programs, to maintain your payroll and continue to provide for your employees. Or you might be forced to lay off or furlough employees, which, as a business owner, that's not an easy decision to make. But sometimes, due to the nature of your business and your willingness to survive, sometimes you're forced to do that. And then others may not have a change at all. So you may be fortunate enough that whatever your particular job is, or your industry, or you're able to work from home, you may not necessarily be affected, but you may have to help a family member or a friend experiencing one of the first three items, or maybe having conversations with people that are experiencing some of the negative economic effects of the coronavirus pandemic. So maybe by just watching this webinar, that you'll be able to maybe learn a tip or two, and even pass this on to them. So again, it's all about being together and helping one another. And at the end of the day, that collective effort is what is going to get us out of this. It's important to understand that and know that, because the more we work together, just like social distancing, the more we work together as far as combating the economic effects of coronavirus, the sooner we will return back to normal. So what can you do? The first step, as far as you as an individual and your personal finances go, you have to get organized. You have to know where the data is today. You have to know what your current income is, or if you're no longer earning income, what your savings are and what your expenses are. And you really need to do 3, 6, and even 12-month projections, and just go month by month. I was considering laying out a budget template in this webinar and how to do this, how to do that. But it's the more simplified you can keep this, and the more trackable you can keep it, the better. So you can start with an Excel file, or start with a pad and paper, and go through your bank statements, your credit cards, all your other various expenses, and add those up. We want to get a true, at the end of the day, figure for your current income, savings, and expenses, okay? The more accurate you can be, the better. Now, you don't have to be 100% accurate. There's going to be some room for error, unexpected things that come up. Maybe your expenses are higher than expected, but at the same time, maybe you go to work sooner than you're expecting. But you want to be as accurate and realistic as you can be. So as far as budgeting goes, once you have those things organized, it's understandable if things don't look good and things aren't working out and the data is not checking out. Okay, the next step is to consider eliminating all discretionary expenses. Okay, so discretionary expenses being anything that you can forego that won't negatively affect your credit. So it won't negatively affect payments on debt that you owe, mortgage payments, car payments, credit card payments, student loan payments, things of that nature. All of those payments are non-discretionary, okay? And we're gonna get into that next, but those are all non-discretionary. Discretionary items would be items such as, maybe you're doing some home renovations that you can put off. Maybe it's looking at your monthly total of of money that you're allocating to eating out. Maybe now you're ordering out or getting delivered, but things of that nature that you can really just get by without. So consider eliminating all those expenses first. And then sometimes it might not look good if you even eliminate all of those expenses. The next step is to understand your options for the non-discretionary expenses, okay? Understand what your lenders will do for you. And that all starts with making phone calls. If you have a car payment due, call your lender. If you have a mortgage payment due, call your lender. Student loans, call your lender. A lot of lenders are fortunately willing to work with their borrowers, but it's a case-by-case basis, okay? It's a case-by-case depending on what your loan is, you know, how willing they are to extend those terms or be flexible, things of that nature. So you really have to understand your options across the board for all of those non-discretionary expenses. And then once you do that, you'll understand, you know, where are the opportunities to maybe forego 3 or 6 months worth of payments. There's typically, the interest will typically continue to accrue during those periods of time. So you will be paying on those deferred payments. But at the end of the day, we just want to make good, sound financial decisions to get us through this period of time to survive, and then we'll get back on our feet at the end of the day when this is all over. So you just want to get through this, again, by not making poor financial decisions, by making prudent financial decisions, like not incurring more debt, right? You don't want to make the issue worse, okay? You want to just survive, just maintain your current financial standards, opposed to making the situation worse. Now, for some of you, and unfortunately, that may be the solution. And if that is the case, okay, and I want to say that I understand that there are going to be hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be incurring credit card debt because of the financial circumstances of this pandemic. If that is the case, I want you, as soon as we are out of this, as soon as we get to the other side, we get back to work and things normalize, I want you to attack that credit card debt like there's no tomorrow and pay that off, okay? The worst thing we want to see is the long-term effects for you, your family, your friends. The long-term effects of credit card debt can really hurt you, really hurt you. So if you do have to incur that credit card debt, and look, at the end of the day, you have to survive. You have to put food on the table. You have to provide for your family and do what you have to do. But you also want to get rid of that as soon as possible, okay? So if you do get there, if we are at the point where you've done everything you can, when you come out of this, that is mission number 1. And the last thing here is to prioritize your non-discretionary expenses. That kind of fits into the understanding what your non-discretionary expenses are and prioritizing, you know, what needs to happen and what doesn't need to happen. What are bills that you might have some flexibility with lenders. Robert is a father. I'm not a father. So Robert, I'm sure you understand as far as childcare goes and providing for kids, those are expenses that you have almost no control over. So it's probably at the top of your list. Whereas, you know, the other things as a parent, you're pushing down.
Right, exactly. So when my wife and I are considering how we're adjusting our discretionary spending, we're looking at the now, and of course doing a lot of what you're saying, focusing on continuing our bill pay, but we're also looking at, okay, we're about to be coming out of the school year, and then it's going to be summer, and we'll have a summer camp expenses and aftercare expenses from returning to work. So making sure that we're budgeting ahead for that, and making sure that we're prepared for when we do come back from the crisis, that we haven't just forgotten about all the upcoming additional expenses that come with our regular life that, we weren't thinking about right now because of the crisis, keeping that in our minds.
Awesome. Exactly. Those are all great things to keep in mind. And, being proactive, that's a great thing you brought up, like summer camp. It's coming. Like just like everyone's life is different, but something's coming on the horizon, but you're planning for it now. You're looking at what your options are, and you're trying just to figure it out and make it work the best way possible. So let's get into some other things that you can do. So these are really geared towards people that have been laid off or furloughed, and then also business owners. So the first thing you need to think about is resetting your expectations, okay? In times when you are in your own personal financial crisis or in a bad position financially, okay, you may have been a professional and been laid off from a job, or be highly educated and experienced, and for one reason or another the pandemic has forced you out of work. The first thing is really to reset your expectations. And you don't need a perfect job, you don't need the job, you just need a job to pay your bills. Again, the people that can get through this short window of time, hopefully short window of time, I don't want to send the wrong message, but as soon as the pandemic settles down and where we have a vaccine that's been implemented throughout society, hopefully sometime next year, the economy starts to recover. At that point, it's more of an environment where you look for the next job, the long-term position. But a lot of the times, those type of opportunities won't exist in this type of economy. So again, you can always get through this period and reevaluate later. It's not a time to be too proud or to have over exuberant expectations of what you can do and what you want to do, because at the end of the day, if that is the case and those expectations inhibit you from finding a position, a job that can help you sustain your lifestyle, all you're really doing is making the problem worse. So just think about that. And it's a case-by-case basis, and it's up to you as an individual to make that decision for yourself. But there are companies out there, and there are businesses, and there's public and private sector opportunities out there that are doing well, okay? So you pretty much have an entire sector of the economy, the consumer staples sector of the economy, that has actually been positively affected by the coronavirus pandemic, okay? You have other sectors of the economy like construction. Construction, for the most part, has continued, has chugged along. So if you're a professional with administrative experience, the construction industry has those type of opportunities. And then same thing with virtual jobs that you can work from home. Maybe you have some freelancing skills or a side hustle that you've been able to improve and utilize throughout your working years, that you can maybe put more time and effort towards. Now's the time to do that sort of thing. So anything that has to do with consumer staples, the food industry, okay, the paper products and household products, okay, again, these are things with supply chains that start with natural resources that have to go to factories and refineries, and there's chemistry and scientific research involved in making of the products, all the way through shipping and logistics, and then at the end of the tunnel, there's retail. So all along that supply chain, the economic growth in that segment has continued. Economic growth leads to jobs and opportunities. So that is a generalized sector of the economy that is more likely to be hiring at this time than other sectors of the economy. And again, this may be something that is a very short-term economic crisis in this country. So short-term in economic sense is 3 months. So for you, that may not be short-term in your life as far as finances go. So it's all relative to your individual situation, what opportunities you have available to you, and kind of go from there and see what makes the most sense. Business owners at this point, you pretty much, April 19th, we've been experiencing this social distancing for about a month now. But you know by now that you need to expect about 100% drop in revenue for the foreseeable future. These are businesses that rely on activity of the marketplace, retail operations, food operations, short order operations, things of that nature. The first thing you want to do is to call your customers, and you can even do this if you're not a business owner, but you're an employee of a business and you know that you might be struggling or might be in a situation where you need to find a solution to this short-term pandemic. Call your customers and ask them to buy discounted gift certificates. Ask them if they are willing to prepay invoices. You can provide them a discount. Again, you want to just generate the cash flow in order to keep your business running. And that all starts with being proactive, innovative, and extend your reach. Okay, you want to communicate openly and directly with your customers and employees. Tell them exactly what's going on and what you need. Because what I said in the beginning, as far as everyone helping each other out and the community, everyone in the community coming together to help to make best for the community as a whole, that happens. And you have to believe in that and you have to trust in that. And by communicating openly, you are able to take advantage of that, take advantage of what the resources the community has to provide. And maybe because the community might be able to help you, maybe you're able to keep employees on the books instead of laying them off. So it all works together. The economy is one giant web that turns and rolls downhill like a turbine. But if it hits one bump in the road, that all changes. So as soon as, or as much as we can keep that turbine spinning, even if it's very, very slowly, the better everyone's going to be. And some final thoughts here as far as what you can do. So for business owners, for entrepreneurs, or maybe people that are just thinking about something new in life that they want to take on, consider new businesses that will be available after the pandemic. Industries are going to change. They're going to evolve. The world's coming out of this just like it does after every major health and economic event is going to look different. There will be services and industries that will grow exponentially and will actually benefit from this. For instance, the delivery service industry, the cleaning industry, healthcare services, these are going to explode. These are going to be top of mind for customers. In the next few years, what you'll likely see is more and more businesses adopting extremely stringent cleaning practices. And that is going to provide an opportunity for those type of businesses that come in at night to disinfect the workplace. That will provide that opportunity for those type of businesses to grow and thrive. And that's just one example. There are tons of examples of opportunities that will present themselves. So what you need is an execution plan, and that's what you can start doing now. You know, your family and friends have time, and many of them are willing to help if you just reach out and ask them. So if you're pondering, or if you were pondering about maybe doing something like this before this pandemic, maybe it's just the right time. Maybe it was meant to be for you. And then also, you should expect a competitive workforce after the pandemic. There's going to be a lot of people unemployed, unfortunately, after this, and there's going to be a lot of people out of work after this. So start your preparations now. Even if you're due, just go ahead and get that short-term position to fill a void, at nights and your time off. Take a look at that resume. Make sure you're ready and you have everything organized to start that job search if you've been laid off or furloughed, and really hit the ground running as soon as we're out of this. So it's just a time to get yourself organized, to expect it to be competitive, expect there to be opportunities, but there's going to be a lot of people out there. So do what's best for yourself and get ready for that time. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to turn it over to Robert. He's going to tell you a little bit about what we have coming up and also how to stay in touch. But I thank you for listening in today. And also, I'm going to include my email in the next couple slides here. So feel free to shoot me an email, ask me questions, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help however I can. And I wish you and your family the best of luck getting through this. And, understand that the community, your family, your friends, the Broward Public Library Foundation, Meta Broward, we're all here to help you. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And that's the type of mentality that's going to get us out of this. So best of luck to you and your family. And I will now turn it over to Robert.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. So on that note, really looking ahead, we will be hosting another workshop. It will be a pre-recorded and posted to our social media pages. It's going to be employability and the job search for post-COVID-19. It will be offered by another one of our Meta Broward members, actually our Community Engagement Chair, Camille Camacho, and she'll be running a workshop that's really based around not only finding a job, but doing some personal assessments in identifying the best career path, especially coming out of the pandemic and the competitive workforce that we're really going to be looking at heading into when everything starts to recover a little bit that Jeff had mentioned. It's going to be really important for you to be identifying the areas of expertise you have both professionally but also personally, because you're going to have a much higher success rate in interviewing and job attainment and retention if you are applying yourself to the areas where you're best suited and have the most passion. So I'm really excited for that. We expect that to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We plan on posting this video coming up this week. As Jeff said, today is April 19th, so expect it next few days. So hopefully by the end of April at the latest, we'll have that next workshop ready for you guys. But follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have accounts on each of them. It is at BPL Foundation, so that's the Broward Public Library Foundation. That'll be the best way to keep an eye on what we have going on, to see any kind of upcoming events we have, as well as for when the seminars are being posted. You'll also be able to see when we start putting out our reading challenge. So that's coming from Meta Broward, the Young Professionals group as well. We're going to be hosting what is going to be a really fun kind of interactive program that we're going to be pushing everyone out there to record yourself reading a book to share with the kids, trying to look to help out to all of us parents who are at home trying to do both homeschooling and entertainment for our children 24 hours a day without being able to go outside to go to the parks, trying to keep them from just run around circles. So should be really exciting. I know we have some resources that we are going to be sharing in the description link here on the page where we have this stored. They'll also be linked into when we post the video out. the Broward Library Digital Services. I highly recommend you check that out. If you don't know, you're able to apply online and receive an instant library e-card. It allows you access to all of our digital resources, which include videos for support with resume building, online books, online magazines, TV shows, movies, all for free. It really is an incredible resource. The library is also posting out reading videos of, essentially making reading groups online. So it's a lot of really great stuff that can help you entertain, keep you informed, and allow you to stay on the top of your game even though you're stuck at home. We'll include the link for the Small Business Association, the federal website. We've all heard about the CARES program and how it may or may not be working as intended. It's every day basically new information comes out, as well as a few other links just with some interesting information we came across in preparation for this webinar. Again, thank you all for coming. My name is Robert Alness. I am the Director of Philanthropy for the Broward Public Library Foundation, and very excited that we're able to put this video together. I'm very, very excited that Jeff agreed to do it for us. He is an incredible resource for the Meta Broward Group and has a wealth of knowledge in this area and in all sorts of personal finance areas. So I encourage you to get in touch with him. You can see his email there on the page, as well as the website for his company. You can also reach me on my email listed there on the page, and you can check out our website to see what events we have coming up. And